It is the Anthony Cumia Show. Oh, my God. I'm here in New York again. I can't even. I was just here a couple of weeks ago, stranded, actually. I tried to get back to South Carolina, and I spent 2 luxurious days at one of the LaGuardia Airport hotels. Making, what do they call that in Fight Club? Single-serving friends at the bar. You sit there and you hear a conversation spark up and you just start rambling because you've had enough beer or what have you. I don't want to have to do that again. But I'm here until Tuesday morning. I've been here since Friday night. And it's New York. It's New York. I bitch, I complain about it, but I think I have fair reason to. I like the people I see. I see my friends. I had a dinner with the wonderful Mr. Gavin McInnes last night, and I see my buddies. Jim Norton, saw him Saturday night or Friday night. Just a great time. And then it's everything else you have to deal with. My latest complaint, and this has been something that's kind of been a thing over the course of the years, but it's worse now than it ever was. You hop in a cab, which I hate doing. I'd rather take an Uber anywhere, but in New York, sometimes you just go, there's a cab right there. I might as well take it. And the roads have not been repaired in I don't know how long. I'm not saying it's just Memdani that's the problem here. I honestly don't think he'll ever put any money toward infrastructure. I think it's all going to his ridiculous social programs and grocery stores for the poor and free this and free that. Billions of dollars shortfalls on the budget. They're predicting more billions of dollars he's going to be short next year on the budget. But what he's cutting, I think, are the basic things you want as a New York City taxpayer. You want to drive on roads that are at least passable. At least passable. You want infrastructure for your water and electricity and whatnot. I was in a cab. I'm driving here. You can no longer put your head back on the headrest. You're in the back seat of a cab. You cannot put your head back there. You will get a concussion. My head was bouncing off of the seat because every inch of every road in New York City is a pothole or a metal plate over it, or it's chewed up gravel that used to be pavement. And you will never see this fixed under, Mamdani or anybody else that the city of New York will elect. It's, he's a Democrat socialist, communist. And why would they fix the infrastructure? He doesn't really have to worry about it. And we all just go, oh, that sucks. And nothing gets done. Isn't it wonderful? So that was my my big complaint for this trip into New York City. Every single inch of roadway is a disaster. And don't even ask me if I've been in the subways. The answer will always be no. I'd sooner walk. I would sooner walk anywhere. Speaking of, I had to tape a show on yesterday afternoon, and I had to take a cab over into the Alphabet section of Lower Manhattan, on the east side, Lower Manhattan. And my cab driver at one point, because there were a bunch of closures, a bunch of street closures. He couldn't make a left because I was staying in Midtown. And he goes, you need to get out. What? Wait, what? My credit score is that bad? You don't think I'll pay? You need get out, cross street, get another cab. Wait, what? I've lived here. I've worked here. What if I was from Kansas? What if I was some poor bastard from the Midwest? here in exciting New York with my family. God knows what kind of a nut would do that to their family, but I knew what he meant. He meant, yeah, get out, cross the street that is causing all these closures, and then grab another cab. But he doesn't speak well enough to convey that to anybody that wouldn't know, hasn't lived in New York, hasn't worked in New York. But that's kind of the way it is. And I swear to you, I tell these cabbies all the time, if I ever take a cab these days, I go, this is why you're losing to Uber. The Uber driver, he knows where I have to be. He has his GPS. He's getting paid probably more than a cab gets paid. Maybe not. But they figure out a way. The cabs are just never English. You can never talk to them. And they're the ones that need talking to. I was on a trip the other day. I get in a cab, and he doesn't know where my destination is. So now I'm looking it up on my phone to get the cross street. I thought he might know where it is. Like old school cab drivers back in the old days. Where you going, Mac? Mac puts his elbow on the back of the seat, turns his head. There's no plexiglass there. It's the good old days. Where you going? Oh, yeah, I used to work as a bartender over there, and he'd convey a great oldie-time American story. But these days, get out of cab. Get another cab. Like, holy Jesus, Palomino. And here's why. Because there was some kind of bicycling thing going on. When I finally reached the street that caused the closures, all I'm seeing are these smiling-faced bicyclists pedaling down the street, screwing up everyone's afternoon by closing the streets. New York is a place of business. It every day, 7 days a week, Sunday, Saturday, it doesn't matter. There is business going on. And the fact that they just close streets for runners and bicyclists and street fairs, and it's Puerto Rican Day Parade, or it's this one and that one. You cannot do that in New York. When every street is open, it's a disaster to drive around in. And then they're going to close block after block of cross streets that you need to get across town. And it winds up taking you an hour to get what would normally be a 10-minute cab drive. So I was none too happy, as they say, about that one. But that's how they work. That's how this city works. And Mamdani, New York has to be affordable for everyone. Really? Why you close the street? It's a working place. People have to work to afford to live in New York. And you're making it inconvenient and dangerous, deadly dangerous for everybody that's living and working here. Oh, I got a few choice stories concerning Zoran and his stuff. I love this story. We'll get to it in a little bit. It's a story about child, not daycare or child care or health care or anything, but it's like a babysitting service. Zoran wants to have some type of babysitting so that the parents could, blow off a little steam, have a little fun. So he has suggested that the city take care of your kids. Can you imagine the psychopath that would actually drop their kid off into the hands of somebody from the city, the government, in a park? This is what it's supposed to be. I'll get to the story in a little while, but they should have Child Protective Services right there on the spot. And if you drop your kid off there, they just take you, they arrest you, and they take your kid. Remember the old episodes of Cops where they told people that had warrants that they won television sets? Those were my favorites. And they'd come in and the cops are all in disguise. They're like, yay, you won. Just go into that back room there and claim your prize. The prize was handcuffs and a ride down to a jail. That's what they should do with these parents that would bring their kids to a babysitting session set up by the city in a park. I mean, who the hell would trust the likes of Zorhan Mamdani and his cronies watching your kids? They can't even do them right in school. Never mind them just running around a park somewhere. God knows the criminal records of the people that they would have taking care of these poor little bastards. But, yeah, that's going on. When we get back, I do want to talk about Donald Trump and Iran. Did I say it like Iran? Iran, because it was Iran when I was growing up. They changed it. They always do that, names of countries or people. Was it Ace Frehley or Ace Frehley? I don't know. But don't make me change. Iran. We are in a cluster F in the Middle East right now, and I am none too happy with what Donald Trump is doing. And I know damn well there are probably some people right here at this very radio station, some friends of mine, associates, politicians, that will not be pleased with what I have to say, but it has to be said. Your calls, too. I love you, you goofy people calling in. 800-848-9222 is the number, 800-848-9222. And we'll be back in moments with more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show, 77 WABC.
It is the Anthony Cumia Show. And, yeah, like I said, I want to talk about Donald Trump, the Iran situation, the war. Isn't it a war? I don't know. I remember growing up way back in the old days. I was a little tater tot during a little conflict they called Vietnam. And they never called that a war. At least not the liberals, the hippies, they called it a war. The conservatives called it a police action. It's a police action. We're policing. And then it was, we'd send in advisors. They're not soldiers. They're advisors. But I think everybody whose name is up on that big black granite wall in D.C. and their families have no qualms about calling it a war. And I think the Iran situation is a war. And I don't know what the hell is going on. And I'm paid to know what the hell is going on with things like that. But very quickly, first, I want to talk about 81 years ago on this very day. It was Nagasaki. On Thursday, we had Hiroshima 81 years ago, and 81 years ago today was the bombing of Nagasaki. Nagasaki, as an old uncle would say. And the Super Fortress, B-29 Super Fortress boxcar, piloted by Major Charles W. Sweeney, rolling down the tarmac with its belly full of its deadly cargo. Why did they talk like that back then? Very funny to me. But Fat Boy, Fat Boy, that was the bomb, the plutonium atomic bomb, dropped on the Jap city of Nagasaki 3 days after the bombing of Hiroshima, or Hiroshima. See? I don't know how to say anything anymore. This was the second and, of course, the final use of an atom bomb in combat. And then a few days later, August 15th, Japan said, enough. We have had it. You guys are crazy with that stuff. And they surrendered, officially ending World War II. And I posted that on X, and God, people pull stuff out of their backside. I'll say that to keep it all safe. But I was getting accused somehow for commemorating the amazing courage, ingenuity, the fact that when World War II started, no one even really knew how to make an atomic bomb. And by the end of it, we laid 2 on them. And I'm just commemorating that, letting people know that, yeah, that happened 81 years ago. And there were a few comments that are just like, yeah, Anthony, once again, defending the Jews. Like, what? It was 81 years ago, World War II. It's Japan. This has nothing to do with that. But I think that happens all the time now. Doesn't matter what you comment about. Hey, my pool was a little warm today. Jews. So just amazing. An amazing bit of ingenuity, an amazing American bravery, and just the fact that, yeah, like I said, you watch that movie Oppenheimer, and it's good. They had to dumb it down a little to make it an interesting movie. It wasn't a documentary. But when you think that the splitting of the atom and coming up with all the energy that it takes to make a nuclear explosion from doing that wasn't even really, it was theorized. Some people said, we think it can be done. We think that this is how it's done. And you're utilizing things that you can't even see. And you're utilizing, like the atom, you're utilizing things that you have to, just based on math and theory, you think it can be done. If we do this, it's going to unleash hell. And they made it happen. And to me, that is amazing. And again, you don't want to put it in terms of the good guys always win. But boy, it would have been bad if the bad guys would have gotten that their hands on that thing. Imagine a Japan at the end of the war with an atom bomb. They would have wreaked havoc, as they say. All right, so hats off to the United States. 81 years ago, Nagasaki, ending the war. Good man. God bless America. Now we fast forward to another war. Oh, boy. What is going on? Can someone tell? I say this just about every week. I don't know what this war is about. And like I said, I'm paid to know these things. I'm paid to research and listen to other people, experts speak, read, use my own deductive reasoning to try to figure out what people are talking about. I have no idea why we're involved with Iran at this point. I thought it was about the nuclear thing. And, we seem to have put that out of commission. I saw a lot of bunker busters and a bunch of other bombs making holes in mountains that apparently were there were bomb making facilities or uranium enrichment plants under those mountains. And everyone went, oh, cool. We've done strategic strikes on many, many, many countries. Every president have over the course of the years have done these strategic strikes. It's not war. It's just we don't like something that's going on. We drop a few bombs and then we're out. And it takes a few years for them to get back up to speed to whatever they're working on, or there's a regime change, whatever it may be. This is not that. This is something that we're now looking at that is way too involved. We are way too involved militarily, and I don't see what our exit plan is here. I can't see a mission that when this happens, we'll be done. I'm hearing every other week. It's become a joke. When Trump gets on television or you see him on social media, a clip, and he says, we're in talks, great people. And then literally the next day, we're bombing them into Kingdom Come. It's over. They're terrible. And it happens over and over and over. Is anyone taking what Trump says about Iran seriously at this point? Be honest. Look, I love the guy. I love what ICE is doing. I love the fact that the border is shut down now and it doesn't look anything like it did under Biden. We had those caravans of South Americans, Central Americans, Mexicans, God knows who else from all over the world invading the southern border in unbelievable numbers. It looked like an invasion because it was. And I love that Trump took office, shut it down, and instantly started kicking out the people that had come here illegally. I want to see more of that. But I appreciate that part of it. I really do. But, you know, you got to be honest. You can't just say because I'm on Team Trump that I can't criticize him, because that's exactly what should be done right now. Oh, but all right, Anthony, what would you rather have, Kamala Harris? See, I got some guy in here. He's called the devil's advocate, yeah. And no, of course not. I would vote for a garden rake before I would vote for Kamala Harris. Of course, I would vote for Trump in a second. Again. But what are we supposed to do? Not call him out on this war? That is insane. There's no end to it. I don't see any way to get out of it with any type of honor or having an upper hand on Iran. Your calls and a lot more on this topic when we return. Anthony Cumia Show. Keep them separated. Yeah, this is something that's been weighing on a lot of people. I'm not alone. I talk to people, and you can't just pick up the Trump pom-poms and do a little cheer if you're not happy, just for the sake of saying, well, I support Trump, so I support everything he does. That is not logical, Captain. So I don't like this. I don't think we have a plan here. And I really don't think there is a solution, an end game, where we come out of this looking good at this point. Again, when you have these military strikes because the country is getting a little rambunctious, you don't like something they're doing. And like I said, other presidents have done this over the course of history. That's one thing. We got way too deep into this. And I honestly think Donald Trump thought this was going to be easy. And it's not. Iran wasn't some little country that could easily be toppled or made to do what you want them to do because you drop a few bombs on them. They have they had a competent military, and they still have people in charge. They still have plenty of weaponry to do some severe damage to our Middle Eastern allies. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, all these countries that were kind of rah-rah all behind us when this started. And now it's not that good. It seems like a lot of these countries don't really want to be involved anymore. They certainly don't want to have any retaliatory strikes put upon them because of things we're doing. And when you have Trump every other day on television saying that we're going to just bomb them into the Stone Age, and then the next day they want peace, we're talking to them, it's amazing, where there should be a deal within days, and then it does not happen. I'm not going to just say, oh, great, no, he's doing a great job, when I'm being played the fool here. This has happened way too many times. I'm not into war. That's why I voted for Trump. I remember him saying specifically that no new wars was a thing. Now, I also understand that you can't predict what's going to happen in the future. If someone says no new wars and it's imperative that we use our military to protect our country, I'm going to give the guy a pass. No new wars for nothing. No new wars just to make a new war. Yeah, I get that. But if there was an emergency and for national security, we had to utilize our military, of course. Of course. I don't think anybody would fault him. Do you really think that's what needs to be done in Iran? Here comes the devil's advocate guy. Well, Anthony, you want a nuclear-armed Iran? Of course not. And I've already said the strikes that were done, from what I've heard, have set back Iran's nuclear program at least a few years. And if there's ever any indication that they're enriching uranium again, you bomb them again. Get rid of their ability to make nuclear weapons. There you go. But to use that as an excuse for what is going on now, and again, I don't even know what this is. Iran has a great ace in the hole, and it's the Straits of Hormuz. That is a great leverage that they have. And they're not weakened to the point where they can't do damage in the Straits. Just before the show, they hit another ship with anti-ship missiles, and it wasn't even in the Straits. It was like off the coast of Oman. So they're still doing damage. And from what I hear from Trump, we're killing them. They're going to be gone as a country, and then they're the most awesome people ever, and we're dealing with them, and we'll be having dinner tomorrow. And I'm not supposed to look at that and go, fool me once, shame on me. Fool twice, won't get fooled again. One of my favorite George W. Bush quotes ever. Won't get fooled again. He quoted The Who. Amazing. But yeah, we're in a situation where I'm not going to sit back and because I support Trump and I voted for him and I love a lot of what he's doing domestically. He could do more. I get that too. But that I'm not going to criticize the crap out of what's going on in Iran. Now it seems Iran is making demands on the United States. I thought they were on the verge of complete surrender. So this is clip AC-17 for the text. This seems to be Iran's latest demands on the U.S. I can't even believe that they would do this, that they're in a situation where they're not cowering in their bunkers and they're actually making demands. Let's give this a listen.
Well, we finally have news from inside Iran, but brace yourself, it's not going to go down well in Washington or here in Doha or in Riyadh or in Abu Dhabi, across the Middle East. The Iranians have now issued a series of demands they are making of the United States before they are prepared to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. So those demands include that Iran should be paid substantial amounts of money, like the lifting of sanctions, that U.S. forces, naval and air included, should be removed, should leave this region, and that the United States should agree not to target or even say anything bad about
Don't even
Iran,
say anything bad.
and not to target its proxies like Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis. Now, we've been waiting for days for news from Tehran about the negotiations over reopening the Strait of Hormuz. We were told by the Trump administration and also by the Iranians that it would come soon. Then there were reports from inside Iran of demands that included that vessels should have to pay to pass through the strait, and that US and Israeli ships would not be allowed to pass through. And now this. I want to read those Iranian demands to you because it's important to get the language right and the detail. This is from the Secretary of the Supreme National Council of Iran. It says, in order for the Strait of Hormuz to be reopened, America can never threaten Iran in any language or insult the sanctities of the nation. It says it will permanently, America, end the war and aggression against Iran and Iran's allies in Lebanon, Palestine, Yemen, and Iraq, that America will withdraw its naval blockade and its military forces, naval and air, from around Iran. It says America will fully and without any reduction pay the damages caused to Iran by two wars. So that's not just a war this year, 2026, but the war in 2025 targeting Iran's nuclear capability. That America will lift the unjust and illegal sanctions against the Iranian people, and that it will unconditionally release the frozen and stolen assets of the Iranian people. Now, at the same time, the president of Iran, President Pezeshkian,
Now, honestly, does that sound like a nation that is cowering and is on the brink of surrender and is so petrified that the United States is going to bomb them into the Stone Age? Or does that sound like a nation that would whip it out and urinate all over you? I don't think they sound scared. I don't think they sound like a nation that is ready to bend the knee. And we get mixed messages every single day on the status of this from Donald Trump himself. And, I like when Donald Trump pulls stuff over on the opposition. I like when he says things and gets the left and the socialists and everybody, gets them all pissed off. Don't do it to your base. Don't sit there and lie to your support, to your base about this stuff. Are we leaving? Is there a peace plan? Or are we going to completely level the place? That seems to be the three options. Iran still has 100% capability to blow up any ship that goes through the straits. Any ship. And they're talking about us and every other nation having to pay a toll to get through to them, that America and Israel will not be able to even use the straits. They've floated that one. And I'm supposed to just go, oh, those dumb Iranians. Trump is playing 3D, 4D chess. 4 or 5D chess now. Yeah, on us. On us. Oh, look at Anthony. Oh, now he's all against Trump and this and that and the other thing. I am using my own mind, people. And like I said, I support Trump on many things, but not this. I am not on board when it comes to what the hell is going on in Iran. All right, got a couple of calls about what we were talking about earlier. Of course, feel free to call about this. I know this is a controversial topic. 800-848-9222. And let's say this, I can't believe it's Max. Max in New York City. What's up, my friend?
Anthony, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I think that we consider Mamdani doing a poor job, but in his eyes, he's doing a very good job.
Yeah.
Why? because he's having the city fall. He's releasing criminals that are attacking people on the street, and people in the street are falling. This is part of the red-green axis, the push of communism or something to the extreme left. And once we fall, he hands us a green hand meaning Islam, and this will raise us up. This is his interpretation.
Yeah.
So he's running a very good campaign. We're thinking he's an awful mayor, but no, in his eyes, he's doing a good job. And you can see the same thing is happening to El Sayed. The same thing with the 9 previous mayors from England. They all pull that same excrement. And now he's doing it to us here. Look, did you see that when they had the 42nd Street meeting with all the Muslims praying?
Yep.
There was one guy who got up and he said, "You Americans think that we want to take over New York City." And he said, "No, that's not true. We have taken over New York City."
Yeah, they're very happy, very proud of it.
This guy has videos on YouTube. His name is SQ Way of Life. It sounds like a stupid pen name that he chose to be an imam. But we're asleep. All it has, if we're waiting for some sort of attack on Iran or with Iran or some sort of war, we are going to be totally distracted. If this happens, what will happen probably is that we'll be attacked by Dearbornistan and Plano, Texas. All of a sudden, they'll get control over there.
Minneapolis, Minnesota is an enclave of Islam. And, the people don't seem to understand this. And it's happening every day. We're seeing these new candidates come about, and they're Muslims and socialist, Democrats, socialists. And there is a mentally ill portion of this country that are voting for these people. And that's the thing I really don't understand. You can almost understand people that want to conquer a nation. I don't understand the people in the nation that are inviting them in and with a smile on their face, giving them their throat.
Yes, I agree. And maybe there's something to be said of what Thomas Jefferson said. He said, every 20 years, the blood of the tree of liberty has to be watered, but with the blood
of tyrants,
of patriots and tyrants.
Yes.
So maybe there's something to it. It sounds very far, way off, and it's out of our stream of mind, and it's almost another vocabulary. But he might have had something there.
Like Jeff Spicoli said, Thomas Jefferson said, "We left this England place because it was bogus." Thanks,
Max. Put it in the vernacular.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's there he goes. Boink, boink. There we go. I'm good. I could hang up on people in here. Thank you, booth gentlemen. It's the booth, the commemorative. I call it the John Wilkes booth. It's no. Thanks, guys. Mamdani is he's saying he's doing a good job, and what he's doing is he's playing the long game. He's not doing a lot of quick things that are very communist, aside from the stupid grocery store and everything. But then they're always presented as helping people and the downtrodden and the poor, impoverished. He's got to get these stores in place, these grocery stores, and then he tries to get the free buses, and that doesn't work. Child care, health care for all, low rent, all of his stuff. When you put all that together, it's very damaging to a city financially and, morale-wise. But he tries to make each one seem like he's helping so much. He's such a help to everybody. And the dumb sheep go for it. You know, they think he's the greatest. I saw people, women especially, liberal women, crying because they didn't live in New York when Mamdani was elected. They wanted to vote for Mamdani. And they're crying, going, "Why? I wish I was in New York to vote for him." And they got the nose ring and the whole, the usual look. You know, because they want to be so independent and different than everybody else. So they dress exactly the same. They have the same bat crap crazy ideology, the same hair color. And, oh, God. It is frustrating. I see it going on. You know, when I visit here, I walk the sidewalks and it just, everything stinks of weed. As a young man, I never thought I'd get tired of smelling weed or get like, why does everything smell like weed? But when you walk around and it's the constant smell of weed, you used to walk around New York City and, sometimes it was terrible, feces and urine on a nice summer day. But occasionally, a steakhouse, you'd pass by a steakhouse and be like, oh, that's good. Or pizza place. Now it's just weed. Every single place you go, it just smells like weed. I saw a great clip. It was some woman telling a table full of people they had to leave a restaurant because they smelled like weed. And I don't think that would have happened up until very recently. I think people have had it. A lot of people that live in this country that just want to live in a civil, nice society have effing had it. And they're speaking up. They're finally saying, yeah, we don't want this. I don't care if you're labeling me this or that. I'm a phobe. I'm an ist. Or whatever it is, whatever label they want to put on you. They don't seem to care as much anymore. People used to be petrified of that. They used to be so scared of being called a racist or homophobic or transphobic. Now they just go, yeah, screw you. I don't like what is going on, and I'm going to speak my mind about it. So that's cool. All right, back in moments, more of your calls and a lot more of the Anthony Cumia Show. Hey, it is the Anthony Cumia Show. Welcome. Wonderful Sunday evening. Summer just ticks away, doesn't it? Oh, man. And it's weird these days. What is it, climate change? It just seems like the front end of summer is happens a little earlier, especially down south. I don't know, up here it seemed to be cold for quite some time. It just seems like summer is a lot shorter. It doesn't really start getting warm until midway through June. And then by midway through August, you start getting cold weather coming in. I see that's in store for you guys in New York. Here, I'll be getting my ass back down to South Carolina, where the map is, the weather map is still red. Nice. And the politics, still red. Boy, how fun. Who thought anyone would ever say this? How fun is the WNBA these days? I never thought I'd have any interest in it, and I don't because of basketball. I don't even like the NBA as far as sport goes. It's a boring game. Scoring a goal is the biggest part of any sport. If you're a fan, you want to watch your team score a goal. Football, a touchdown, it's amazing. A home run being slammed in baseball, a hockey goal is exciting. Place stands up, the buzzer goes off. Basketball is every 2 seconds, they score. It gets a little redundant. It gets a little boring. Dunk, 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 whoosh. Score, 2 points. Dunk, 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 whoosh. Score, 2 points. Dunk, 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 dunk. We get it. Oh, 3 points. Yay. What's the score? Oh, it's 110 to 112. No sport should have a score that high. So I find it boring. And WNBA, I mean, you're putting boring on top of boring. Now, the same boring game with people that really aren't good at the game for the most part. Angel Reese, I never would have known this broad's name. Talking like it's the 50s. Who is this broad? Never would have even known her name if it wasn't for the controversy that has ramped up in the WNBA. And that is the only reason anyone gives a crap about the WNBA. No one's talking about the amazing gameplay. It's, did you see this one get cracked in the face? Did you see this one get choked? Did you see this girl call this one, say that the foul was white privilege? And it's the only reason anybody is watching the WNBA, because it sucks. So I guess a lot of people are getting on the should trans women, it's also confusing, be allowed to compete in the WNBA. If you got somebody that was born a guy and has decided through so much self-reflection and thought that they should put a dress and a wig on and play against girls and beat the crap out of them. So a lot of people in the WNBA, being as liberal, woke, whatever you want to call it, as they are, they cannot bring themselves to just say, well, no, this is a woman's sport. We can't have guys throwing the girls around the court. So they can't even bring themselves to say it. So a few of these guys that were NBA stars have come forward and said, hey, we're going to play. We are now going to play in the WNBA because I am now a woman. I've done some reflection and I'm transgender, which is hilarious. The fact that they're calling this out in a way that the people involved in the WNBA can't even refute it. They can't say, oh, no, you're not. You're a guy. Well, you can't even tell anyone what a woman is. So how do you know? And what are you going to tell me what my feelings are and how I feel about myself? And you're going to tell me I'm not a woman as much as you are? And they painted themselves into a corner with this, and it's hilarious. So here's who is this? Let me see I got my show prep all over the place. I didn't put it in order. It always happens when I'm here in New York. Where's the guy, the NBA star? Yes, that guy. Thank you, Booth. Yeah, let's play, because this is hilarious. Let's listen.
You know, right now I'm just having a blast in my feminine era. I never thought that I was a woman. You know, I've always trusted the science, and I thought I was a man my entire life. But you know, after further review, strong look at my personal preferences, it would appear that I am indeed sometimes identifying as a transgender woman, and I think it's only fair I get a chance to play with some of my queens here in the twilight of my career, my athletic prime.
Well, and so exactly what you're saying, Royce, is just sort of unveils, pulls the curtain back on the lack of clarity in the WNBA's policies under Article 8 of their 2026 collective bargaining agreement. It's simply...
That's great. That is so funny. They just painted themselves in a corner. They've opened up themselves to having guys who would destroy any woman on the court. And they've opened themselves up to having these guys get out there and play as women. That's how insane everything on this planet has gotten in 2026. I couldn't be happier. Got a few more clips and things about that and your calls when we come back with more of the Anthony Cumia Show right after this. It's the Anthony Cumia Show, and during the break, I was scrolling through my X account, Anthony Cumia on X, and lo and behold, you know, exactly what I said. Here's Rowdy Yates. He goes about the Iran situation. Why do you care? Literally nothing about this war is affecting you other than hearing complaints from your little bitch boy, Nick Fuentes. What does that have to do with anything? And do you really think that this isn't affecting the people of this country, individuals? Have you seen the price of gas, which affects the price of everything? And again, can't I criticize? Can't I support the president, but criticize one of his policies or actions? I guess not. Not as far as some of these people are concerned. And then the great Mr. Moist Daddy. I'm taking very seriously what Moist Daddy 45 has to say on X. He goes, yeah, just what we need. The only conservative voice worth listening to anymore wants to also bash Trump. Way to go. It's astounding that as a Trump supporter, you cannot even criticize some of the stuff he does. I'm supposed to just toe the company line, support every single thing he does, not criticize it. I don't want to be that guy. I certainly don't want to be that guy. I want to be able to look at what's being done and either agree with it or disagree with it and be able to voice my opinion on it. I really don't understand it. Let's go to Joaquin there in the Commonwealth of PA. Joaquin, what's up, my friend?
Good evening, Anthony. I got a couple things for you, actually. Upon further deep self-introspection, I've come to the determination that, yes, I am indeed a transgender woman who just happens to be a butch lesbian.
There you go.
In other words, I like to dress like a man, and I like women.
Good, Godspeed. Good luck to you in that endeavor.
Yeah. So anyway, it's interesting how I live up here, in the bum F Poconos, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting how all the state roads around me, they get repaved. How's that possible? I mean,
right.
I don't think that there's a tax place like there is, in New York City.
Yeah, not like New York City, that's for sure. But somehow things get fixed and things get done. It's because some states actually use their revenue to do for their constituents what needs to be done. Not New York, not California, not plenty of those states. But good luck. Lucky you. You get to live in that state.
Yeah.
What you want to say something about Trump, though, and Iran?
Yes, about Iran. Honestly, this is my own personal opinion. This is not Donald Trump that we're witnessing here. Okay, Trump in the beginning, especially his first administration, was very decisive. And unfortunately, there was a deep state establishment that did everything to take him out.
Yeah.
Even from Russia collusion that everyone participated in.
To literally trying to kill him.
Yes. I'm sorry, but I believe he got the message. And this has just been orchestrated to make him look bad, to make the MAGA America First movement look bad. Because I'm sorry, if it was me, and I'm sure that Trump #1, Trump 45, would have gone into Iran and would have taken the place out. And I have more suspicions because I still don't understand why they took Saddam Hussein out, because he was a natural enemy to the Iranians. So there's just something much deeper going on here than meets the eye. And the ultimate probably agenda is to take out Trump and the America First agenda and to make it look bad, because so far, they said Obama painted lines in the sand, and constantly Syria, whoever crossed the line, and he did nothing.
Yeah,
and if you remember,
the red line,
Trump 45 was at the dinner with Xi Jinping, and then he sent missiles, I believe, into Syria or someplace.
Yeah,
while he was at dinner, making a point. This is not the same Donald Trump.
No, it isn't. And I really, I'm surprised there are so many people that do speak up and say, what are you doing? Why aren't you supporting him? And especially going into the midterms. Yeah, especially going into the midterms. It doesn't matter what I say or what someone else says criticizing Trump. It's the actions. And I think we are going to pay dearly in November, which is no time away, by the way. We are going to pay dearly.
Isn't that very interesting, though?
With this continuing.
Isn't that very interesting? Doesn't that make the hairs on your neck kind of stand up and make you wonder what actually is going on?
Yeah, it's never what it seems. It's never what we're being fed. You are absolutely right. There's things going on behind the scenes. But what you said at the beginning of the call about Trump getting the message, what else could it be? Then he got the message. People got to him and said, here's what happens when you don't capitulate. And I think that happened. I hate it, but where else could I go with this? Thank you, Joaquin. Appreciate the phone call. Always good. Always a good call with Joaquin. But, it's me. I'm the one that is saying stuff that's terrible and not fair, I guess. But Sandra, the lovely Sandra in Jersey, she says Trump is not being treated fairly. Sandra.
I want to say a couple. First, I want to say to Joaquin, I'm not angry at him, just so he knows. Number two, I miss talking to you, but I'm very busy doing other things as well. But I'm here tonight. And three, I wanted to talk about Trump for a second.
All right.
Let's think about this. This man has and I like what Joaquin said too. This man has absolutely no privacy. We all have these cell phones. We all know everything. He's running a war, and he has no privacy. I looked at the presidents. I have a list of all the presidents in my kitchen, and I know that from John F. Kennedy going backwards, those guys didn't have the whole world knowing everything they were doing. So I feel very sorry for Trump that he has to put up with all these nosy-bosy. That's how I feel about that.
All right. But look, technology is what it is. Time moves on. We have a lot more access to what the president's doing. Yeah.
But Anthony, would you want to be the president if this is how it is, everyone knowing every little thing that he does? He has no privacy, and he says something, then you something, it's the boy who cried wolf, because that's what I was saying. But I thought about it. It's because we all know every little freaking move he makes, and we react, and we start talking, and it's just a shame that this is happening.
But Sandra, let me ask you something, Sandra.
What?
Does Trump look like a decisive, confident president when almost every single day for the past 10 times, I think, he's gone from we are blowing them off the face of the earth to
Anthony,
wonderful people it doesn't look good. It's not a good look, Sandra.
It's not his fault because we're not supposed to know everything every single day that's going on. If we didn't have these phones and if everyone didn't start talking, we would have an answer once a week like every other president had.
Okay.
What?
I was just doing a line from Goodfellas. Don't worry. You're always talking.
You want to hear one more thing?
Please.
Okay. And this, I've been thinking about this because it happened to me and it was very, very nice. And it keeps coming in my mind. So it was a very, very hot day a few weeks ago, maybe 100 degrees. And I was wearing a lovely white sundress. Ooh. I was wearing a white hat and my white little sandals, and I was in a good mood, and I'm going to Dunkin' Donuts to get my latte. So I'm there. And maybe
looking like America's sweetheart, Mary Pickford.
But listen to what happened. Yes. So there were these two women in there as well, and they were Muslim, and they were dressed from the bottom to the top with heavy, heavy material.
Yeah.
And the only thing I saw was the face. Now, one woman comes over to me and she says, you look beautiful. And I looked at her and I said, thank you. Thank you very much. And she said it again. So so that was nice to get a compliment, but that's not my point. My point is I'm wondering.
Well, then get to it.
I bet she wishes she could dress not like
exactly.
that. Exactly.
She's looking at you thinking, oh, that's beautiful, and I wish I could do that and be beautiful.
Exactly.
But Sandra, you know what she's doing? She's empowering herself as a female. That's empowering, wrapping yourself up in a burqa and a hijab and walking behind your man and having your man tell you everything you can and can't do in life. You talk to liberals and people that call you Islamophobic and things, they will tell you that it's so empowering to women. Ugh, unbelievable.
Let me tell you, yeah. I could never be like that.
Of course not. Sandra, thank you for the call, and I have to move along on that one. But again, it's, Sandra, she's a sweetheart. She calls every week. I love her. But again, it's not Trump's fault. I can't run with that. I understand privacy is something that's a commodity these days with the technology that we have. But as a president, you do have the ability to not go on every day and claim that it's now totally different than what you said yesterday. And then the next day, it's back to being what you did say on the first day. That's not the privacy that we do or don't have these days. It's not the fault of technology and phones and the media. He's making the conscious decision to go on every day and say that we're either blowing them up or we're almost in a peace deal here. So what am I supposed to just go, oh, okay. Oh, it's not his fault. He's the president. It is his fault. It's his decisions. I think Trump was given a false bill of goods, and he was convinced that this was going to be easy, and Iran was going to fold, and the Iranian people were going to rise up against the government, and all the same nonsense we've heard over the course of years and years and years with other nations like Iraq. And it just doesn't happen that way. And I'm tired of it. And I'm not just going to defend Trump because I support him, which I do to this day. I don't regret for a second that he was elected and that I voted for him. Don't get me wrong. But this just isn't going well, is what I'm saying. Back in a minute. It is the Anthony Cumia Show. And, a lot of things going on. The Iran situation. Took a couple of calls on that. I've looked at my social media. Some people not very happy that I am not even criticizing. Well, it is criticizing, but it's more my take on it. I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't like what's going on. I don't like not knowing. Look, I shouldn't be privy to military operations of the United States of America at this point. But I would like to know what we're doing, why we're there, why we're doing this, and what the end game is, when we'll be done. And it seems like we're getting mixed up in some type of a Kobayashi Maru, as they say in Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan. He tasks me. He tasks me. We also were talking about the transgender athletes in the WNBA. And this is just hilarious. This is something that would be absolute common sense. Absolute common sense just a few years ago. And now there are discussions going on. The WNBA has said they need to hold a meeting. They need to hold some type of conference between the leadership elements of the WNBA because they need to figure out what a woman is. And if a professional NBA player wants to join and play in the WNBA, he should be able to if he declares he is a woman. That's what I see. That is absolutely what I see. They painted themselves into that corner. And this is Megan Rapinoe. You might remember her. She was on the women's soccer team. And she's talking about Sophie Cunningham and Riley Gaines. And she, of course, has an issue. She's such a strong woman and wants women's rights and women to be able to compete fairly, that she wants men to compete with them. I'll never understand this. I'll never understand how a woman in her right mind, maybe that's the problem, Megan Rapinoe never seemed to be in her right mind, wants to bring men into women's sports. And somehow that's supporting women. None of it makes sense. It's mental. But this is Megan Rapinoe. You got the clip? Thank you, sir.
In an interview with ESPN, Cunningham emphasized how she wanted to protect, quote unquote, young girls in the locker room.
Quote unquote. No,
after the article
girls.
was published, Cunningham defended her comments and was recently photographed with Riley Gaines at an Indiana Fever game. I don't know Sophie, so I can only project what I see about her beliefs based on her actions. And seeing a picture of her with Riley Gaines after the game told me everything I need to know about what's happening. Riley Gaines has made it her life's mission to exclude trans people from public life. She's directly tied to the Heritage Foundation. The author.
Exclude from public life? Is that what Riley Gaines was saying? Has she ever said that? Or did she say that women should never have to compete against men in sports? That when you have men involved in women's sports, and I don't care, trans women that are men that were men, they are women that way. I don't care. Semantics, if you ask me. If you are saying that men should be involved in some way in women's sports like that, you are not supportive of women. Riley Gaines has only spoken about keeping transgender women out of women's sports, not out of society, not scrubbed off the face of the earth. This is so reasonable and so logical, and most people agree with this. So you get someone like Megan Rapinoe that wants women to be at a grave disadvantage. She wants girls that have worked their entire lives on a sport. You get these girls, they start taking an interest in these sports when they're 4 years old. And their parents, the amount of money driving them around to practices, the money it takes for the equipment. And then they finally get an opportunity in high school to get a scholarship to college, or maybe even a spot on an Olympic team. And that gets taken away because some guy that decided he was a woman a year ago is now good enough to compete against women and get that spot, get that scholarship or that spot on the Olympics or that endorsement deal, that lucrative endorsement deal. That's supportive of women. That's something that Megan Rapinoe looks at Riley Gaines and sees Sophie Cunningham hanging out with Riley Gaines like she's hanging out with Hitler. Sophie Cunningham is hanging out with a woman that agrees that women should not have to compete against men in these sports. It's disgusting. Any more of that clip? Let's listen to a little more Megan Rapinoe.
Who have now published a report that suggests that they want to repeal Title IX, the very piece of legislation that allowed athletes like Sophie and myself to compete in sports. Sophie has claimed both to love trans people and support Title IX. And this is where I think the accountability with having a major platform is extremely important. You can hear it even in the language being used that the root of trans exclusion is to protect young girls from men. To be clear, I would love to have that conversation, and it's much needed in this country. But it frames the conversation as if we're protecting young girls from men being in WNBA locker rooms. Not happening. It villainizes trans girls as if they're somehow magically older than their peers or are men, when in reality, they are also young girls.
Oh, my God.
These laws are excluding kids from playing youth sports. If we want to have a conversation around elite sports.
You could cut her off. Ugh. Unbelievable. Do you hear this nonsense? This insanity. Title IX. She's talking about Title IX, which gives her and people like Sophie Cunningham and Riley Gaines the right to compete in sports. What was let me see. No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Yeah, men and women. Women. If a woman is playing a sport, you can't say we don't like women playing this sport, so we're cutting off financial funding, federal funding. That's a problem. That's Title IX. Title IX doesn't allow a man who decided he's a woman to now compete against these women. It's totally different. And Megan Rapinoe is saying that a trans woman is exactly like her and exactly like Sophie Cunningham and Riley Gaines. And that preventing them from competing is preventing young girls from competing. Same exact thing. This, to me, is bat crap crazy talk. And she's not alone. I would love to think that Megan Rapinoe is alone. You could put her in a dungeon at a mental institution and never again hear drivel like she is spewing. But there are so many people that believe this. And I just appreciate the pushback from people like Sophie and Riley who have paid a price. They have paid a price. There are people that do not want them to be able to speak their mind, that want to label them with the transphobic tag, and they would love to see them pay with their careers. We've seen it before. People love to get other people fired for doing nothing more than having an opposing opinion than they have. And how is their opinion any more offensive or oppressive than Megan Rapinoe's opinion on this? Megan's opinion is nuts. That is crazy talk. All right, don't you go anywhere. Back with your calls and a lot more of the Anthony Cumia Show when we continue. It's the Anthony Cumia Show. A lot on the table this evening. Let's speak with Eric from Orlando, Florida. Eric, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Anthony?
Hanging. Having a good Sunday.
You know, when I'm listening to this whole thing about Trump with this Iran thing, I actually do agree with you because I get tired of it going back and forth all the time. It's like, first off, when he said it's going to take about maybe 4 to 6 weeks, first off, you should never even announce how long it's going to take. You don't want the other side to know how long it takes. Otherwise, they'll do everything they can to keep you longer and make you look stupid.
Right.
That's number one. Number two, if it was me, I would have nuked them to the Stone Age already because I don't really care what people think.
Well, that's an option, and at least it would be something decisive. That's the thing. When I look at things like the stock market, or especially oil futures, why wouldn't I believe some of these people that are supposedly conspiracy theorists saying this is so people can speculate on oil and make money? And then I look at the statistics and the graphs and the price, and you see that every time Trump says that there's a peace deal in place, the price of oil goes down. And then every time there's a problem and he says he's going to nuke them into the Stone Age, the price of oil goes up. And these people that are speculating on this are making a fortune. And I'm just supposed to say, no, that's a coincidence, or it's just people making money off of politics, and not say to myself, I wonder who's making money on this. And maybe that is at least one of the motives for zigzagging back and forth on what he says every day.
See, basically, the best thing to do is just keep quiet about saying what you're going to do and just do it and give them a good blitzkrieg, basically.
Well, unless saying it is part of the plan and, making money or allowing other people to make money. If you do that, I don't know. Am I supposed to just blindly say, oh, he's not doing that? I don't like what's going on right now with this Iran thing. And I'm going to say it. I'm not going to, just because I support Trump, not say it. So, Eric, thank you, man. I appreciate the call, Orlando. I don't know why everyone thinks of Orlando. They think of Disney. It's like, oh, Orlando, that's Disney, right? Have you ever been to Orlando proper, the city of Orlando? It certainly is not Disney. I assure you, it is not Disney. Other things going on. This guy, he's running for Michigan, for senator from Michigan, Abdul al-Sayed. I never, in my wildest hallucinations, would have thought we'd have people like Zoran Mamdani and Abdul al-Sayed and all of these other Muslims that are running for office, are in office already in this country. What the hell happened? We're coming up on the 25th anniversary of September 11th. What's the date of that? Right, September 11th. We're coming up on 25 years. And our country is being invaded by Islam. Do you know they're getting pretty wise? They're getting pretty ballsy. They don't like the idea that in some of these enclaves that they have, where, by the way, they play the call to prayer at all hours of the day, before the sun comes up, after the sun goes down, all through the day. It's alarming. And then I heard the other day, I read that they're trying to get the church bells on Christian Catholic churches and whatnot to stop ringing on Sunday. That offends them, upsets them, and they don't like the noise, I guess. But the call to prayer can blast every day, multiple times a day. So we got this Michigan guy running for Senate out of Michigan, Abdul al-Sayed. He's getting a lot of news, a lot of heat these days. And again, he's another one of these socialists, Muslims, that really seem to be getting a lot of heat these days. And who's backing this guy? I guess Bernie Sanders might like him a little bit. And Liz Warren, another person who is allowing Islam to pull out their knife, and she's holding it to the necks of Americans. And if you say anything bad about it, you're the problem. So here's Liz Warren stumping, as they say in political circles, for Abdul al-Sayed.
Here's one thing that Abdul al-Sayed's victory in Michigan tells us. People say it can't be done. But when you fight for the right things,
taking over
you
America,
can build the people power needed to overcome big money. What did Abdul run on? To get money out of politics, to put money in your pocket, and to pass Medicare for all. Well, when costs are up and Trump is seemingly doing everything but bringing costs down, that's a pretty good message. And it's how Abdul was able to build a true grassroots movement in Michigan that was strong enough to beat back millions of dollars in dark money. And that grassroots movement is exactly what's going to get Abdul across the finish line in November. Because we know how to win by fighting for working people.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Don't forget that.
Oh, we won't forget that, Liz. Grassroots. It's the most ungrassroots thing I've ever seen. All of these people are backed and sponsored by people like Soros and company, by all of the communists, by Islam. This is not grassroots. This is an invasion. And dumb Liz Warren, this dunce, she is backing it under the umbrella of the Democrat Party. This is the problem with Democrats. These are wolves in sheep's clothing. Abdul al-Sayed is a Muslim communist first, most likely a Muslim first, a communist second, and nothing to do with democracy. They're sliding in all of these offices under the guise that they are Democrats. And they just happen to be Democrat socialist, but it's still Democrat. Hey, they're not Republican. They're certainly not MAGA. So people like Liz Warren and Bernie and all of these dopes, they give these people their support, and they have no idea that they are quite literally trying to take over the United States of America and turn it into some Islamic state, grabbing up these small places to begin with, having their people come in as their constituents, voting in more of more Islamic candidates. And then before you know it, you have another Dearborn, Michigan. You have another Minneapolis, Minnesota, a potential, Springfield, Ohio, where we remember, sadly, dogs being eaten. They're eating the dogs. So I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe Liz just doesn't care anymore. She's unbelievably rich. On her modest salary, she has made millions of dollars, much like all of them have. They've all made a lot of money. And you'll notice anyone that supports socialism, communism in America is already rich. The Hollywood people, these celebrities that have unbelievable mansions, multiple mansions all over the country, all over the world. And they're the ones telling Americans that socialism is the way after they've made their bundle and can support themselves under pretty much any government. And socialism wouldn't affect them none. They're still going to be able to afford the best health care. They're not going to go to the government healthcare system and the government doctors, and they're going to go to the best doctors available with their riches and be just fine. They'll live in their mansions. They'll buy cars and the best of everything. Where were they with socialism when they were working at summer stock or dinner theater? Barely had 2 nickels to rub together. But when they get rich, it's all about that. Bernie Sanders with his houses and his cars, and he's all about socialism now. Oh, are you? He's got plenty of money, doesn't he? This is ABC News' Jonathan Karl. He's looking through the Democrat Socialists of America's program with the lovely and buxom AOC. Because AOC's been making the rounds. She's got plenty going on. And one of the best things now is she's freezing her eggs. But we'll get to that. This guy, Jonathan Karl from ABC News, he is looking through the DSA program, and he wants to know AOC's take on it. Let's listen.
I was looking through the DSA program, and this is the national program. I'm sure you've seen the document. It was adopted just a few months ago. But some of the positions here: defund the Department of Defense, close overseas military bases, abolish the police and prison system, grant amnesty to all immigrants in the U.S., replace the Supreme Court and executive judiciary with a chosen by lower to Congress, abolish the Senate, public ownership of corporations and essential industries. I mean, those are some positions that you're going to be hearing a lot about this fall from Republicans.
And I think we're also going to be hearing a lot about Donald Trump's commitment to getting us into a reckless war in Iran, his collaboration with big companies to make sure that everything from groceries to rent stay sky high. And I think that people are less interested in these academic debates, and they're more interested in how we're going to bring their bills down and make sure that they can afford to see a doctor.
He was reading off, Jonathan Karl was reading off the program of the Democrat Socialists of America. And it's so preposterous. It's so crazy. And AOC's answer to that was, well, Donald Trump. Donald Trump. And then she blew it off as some kind of academic kind of conversation or debate. No, this is their platform. This is what they're gunning for. They want to get rid of the police, prisons. I don't know what you do in that case. But again, these are all people that the ones making the rules would have their own security. They'd be living high on a mountaintop somewhere where the prisoners that are now not in the prisons, because there aren't prisons anymore, can't get to them. Oh, they'll get to you. So AOC immediately deflected and went right to her, but Donald Trump thing. But Trump. Here's AOC. Now, we just heard what the Democrat Socialists of America program is. But now here's AOC's take on what the Democrat Socialists of America are all about and what they stand for. And it certainly doesn't sound anything like what Jonathan Karl had just said. AOC, her take on the DSA.
But by the way, just a quick definitional thing. What, in your mind, is the difference between socialism and communism?
I think, to me, the fundamental differences, there's many.
Yeah.
One prevailing one is democracy. And I believe that democratic socialists are fundamentally pro-democracy. And we believe in the ballot box. We believe in respecting the outcomes of elections and governing democratically and ensuring that the ideas and policies that are implemented are won through popular vote and popular opinion. And so I think that's why so much of what we focus on is also making sure that we are providing for the majority of Americans, guaranteeing health care, raising wages, strengthening the right to a union. And I think that that's at its core what we're about.
Are you still a member of Democratic Socialists of America?
Of the New York City chapter.
The New York City chapter,
of the New York
not
City
the national
chapter.
No.
Are you now, or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party? Just the New York City chapter, not the national chapter. Oh, is she so full of crap? Fundamentally pro-democracy. Did that description from the DSA program sound anything like being fundamentally pro-democracy? Abolishing the Senate and the Supreme Court? But, AOC's making a run. She's young, relatively speaking. So if it's 2028, I don't know, 32, whatever it is, she'll make a run for it. And to do that, she needs, she can't be saddled with pesky children, right? Kids, yuck. She's a career woman. She's one of these gals that doesn't want to raise kids. It gets in the way of her career. So she's going to freeze her eggs. I love this one. Oh, I love this one. Do we have the clip of her talking about freezing her eggs? I love it.
All right. And then before you go, you did have a personal announcement that you made. It was interesting to see you kind of open up in, on an Instagram Live, I believe it was. So tell me what it was and why you decided to do it.
I think it's important for us to normalize these conversations, especially in this political environment. The Trump administration has...
Remind us what the announcement was.
Yeah, sure. So I have decided to start the process of freezing my eggs.
Yeah.
And
Freeze
in
your
this political
brain.
environment where this administration is denying reproductive care to women across the country.
This is why?
From abortion rights to the ability to carry out a healthy pregnancy. I think it's important for us as leaders to have these conversations and share these processes, especially for working women across the country, and normalize them.
Okay.
Oh, my God. I'll tell you what's a crime. She's denying a young child access to those luscious cans of hers, those lovely jugs that a young child should be nursing on, and she's going to freeze her eggs, and then by the time she has the kid, after she gets done with all of her political aspirations, they're going to be wrecked. Gravity will have taken its toll. You got to have a kid latching onto those now and growing up strong and healthy. But she's going to freeze her eggs. My God, what science fiction dystopian hellhole are we living in these days? But, yeah, there you go. What a liberal woman thing to do. They want to just push it right to the edge. Oh, I'll want kids someday, but right now I have a career, so I'm going to do some science fiction stuff and freeze my eggs. Is that even a thing that doesn't somehow affect the kid later? I don't know. Hey, I don't even play a doctor on TV. All right, don't go anywhere. Back in a flash. It's the Anthony Cumia Show. Let's talk to Mark in Manhattan. Mark, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. Do you remember the science fiction hell movie, The Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
One of my favorites. I think the remake.
The original and the remake.
Yeah, the original remake.
The original had Kevin McCarthy, and the remake had Donald Sutherland, Brooke Adams, and Jeff Goldblum.
He was so
and
good.
And you asked what science fiction hellhole we're living through.
Yeah,
it's the perfect lead into this movie.
Operator, I'd like to report a buddy. Operator, I'd like to report a buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Sutherland. Yeah, thank you. That's my Donald Sutherland impression.
Every person was replaced. Every person, every human being was replaced by its seed pod identical twin, except it was a homunculus with no soul. And when you said the invasion, that's instead of the invasion of the Islamunists, as somebody coined a term recently.
Oh, Islamunist.
Islamunist, the hybrid of the two. In principle, if the West didn't exist, Islam and communism would be doing war with each other.
Yes.
But the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I think that that's the perfect film metaphor for exactly what we are feeling and experiencing. Everyone should see the original black and white and the remake in color.
They're great
and by the way, when you mention Michigan,
yes,
and Elizabeth Warren and Abdul, oh my God. It's interesting that it's in Michigan because there's a Yiddish term called the Michiganer.
Oh,
and that's what they are.
Yes, a little crazy.
They are complete Michiganers. And to think that Elizabeth Warren was once a professor at Harvard University.
Well, it makes sense because they're all indoctrination centers now, and she would be perfect in that role still to this day. Warping the minds of young children.
I love the irony that you see all the time and that you voice on your show.
Thank you,
It
Mark.
resonates with my sense of irony and the absurd. The problem is you're clear thinking. You see all of the human foibles in exaggerated dimensions amongst these people, amongst the radical left. And yet, why is it that young people, and even some people of my generation, are so cuckoo?
I don't know, man. It really ramped up quick in the past decade or so, but hopefully something happens, Mark. Hopefully some light at the end of the tunnel. Thanks for the call, though, man. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's great. Good movie. I watch that every so often. It's probably one of those movies I go to quite often. The Sutherland one is just great. Love it. Who else is running? Who else is running for office? We have in Wisconsin, there is a gubernatorial hopeful, Francesca Hong. Yes, Francesca Hong. Another one. Just another one of these lunatics, anti-American to the core, racist, and she's got a problem. She thinks that white supremacy, toxic white supremacy, not just the regular kind. Is that like extra crispy? If it's toxic white supremacy, that culture is ingrained in this country's history. Can you even? Let's listen. AC 18 is the clip. Francesca Hong.
We have a lot of internal reckoning to do, but that it's important to see it through the lens of toxic white supremacy culture that is ingrained in this country's history, that racism is actually at the backbone of this history. And when people talk about Constitution, federalism, the rights of the people, we really have to take a step back and look at, how those rights have really only been offered up to a certain group. And what
group is that? What certain group would that be? The toxic white supremacy group? This is such a hacky way to try to get elected. Still Jim Crowing about toxic white supremacy culture. She's Asian. Like, Asians do unbelievably well in this country. They're at the top of every list, above the horrible, toxic white people in this country. America, being systemically racist and toxic white supremacist, has allowed somehow the Asians slip through our fingers, and we've allowed them to reach unbelievable heights of wealth and work. They're able to run businesses. And how did we allow this if we're such a terrible, toxic white supremacist culture? Oh, they got us, didn't they? Slipped right through our fingers. The country, at one point, the United States was in the 90% white people. 98, I think, at one point, percent white Europeans in this country. So you want to call it supremacy? It's pretty much, it was the majority. If things are more suited to white people, or if more things are offered to white people in businesses or culturally, food-wise, whatever it was, it's because the vast majority of people were white people in this country. And then so many years later, after other cultures, other races of people were allowed to come here and prosper, people still want to look back at the time when 95 whatever percent of the country was white and were catering to that demographic, and want to look at that like the toxic. It is the Anthony Cumia Show, and a couple of things. I was scrolling during the break. These are idiots. I have to comment on some idiots. Multiple passengers on board Alaska Airlines Flight 305 at Miami International Airport have threatened the flight attendants, including one saying they were going to take over the aircraft. The plane headed to Seattle never took off and returned to the gate. If you are going to say that you're taking over the aircraft, you should probably wait until it's in the air. That would probably be the... What happened to air travel, man? What the hell happened to air travel? It just... This leads me to believe we're not just seeing more nutty people because of videos on social media and we all have phones. That seems to be the question everybody has. Were we always this nuts, or do we just see it now because everyone has a phone and they video it and they put it on social media and we see it? No, I am going on record right now and saying we are nuttier than fruitcakes. We are batty, more batty than we've ever been, because I don't remember this happening on aircraft. I remember people being pretty cool about flying. They knew that it was, you got on the plane, you behaved yourself. And if there were children with a family, the parents told the kids they needed to behave themselves. Everyone was dressed nicely. And I'm not talking about, a fedora and a suit and the woman wearing a gown. They just dressed nicely, not pajamas and that vacuum cleaner bag on your head and Crocs. People just dressed nice. And I do understand the airlines were nicer then too. They would come down the aisle with a carving station. You'd get roast beef. It was crazy. But I guess now the passengers and the airlines pretty much deserve each other. Both of them deserve each other because the clientele is terrible and the airlines are terrible. But yeah, there's my message to you. If you want to take over a plane, you got to wait till you're in the air. If you're on the ground, not very smart. And then the other thing is this Howard Stern story that's going on. Howard Stern staffers not allowed to speak to radio hosts at parties in cultish company. This, of course, is Howard had to fire a bunch of people. SiriusXM fired a bunch of Howard's staff because he cut his show down to 1 day a week, and he still takes the entire summer off, and then he's still not back. I think he comes back in September, and he'll only be doing one show a week, so a lot of the people that have been there for many years got fired, and they signed non-disclosure agreements, all of them. But, off the record, the people from the Post talk to some of these people, and obviously they're bitter, and they're going to be saying things, and they have been. But I can tell you a little something that kind of goes along with this. I worked at SiriusXM on the Opie and Anthony show for 10 years, and I never saw Howard Stern. I never saw him there. We worked the same day part. We were both doing morning drive. I saw everyone else that worked on the Howard Stern show. Everybody, Fred, Robin, Artie, Baba Booey, all of them. And in 10 years, I never saw Howard. So, I don't know. I'm kind of led to believe some of this stuff about cultish, the whole cult of Howard and how people had to. One part of the story, they say, if it was some type of a get-together, an occasion where the staff was there with Howard, they weren't allowed to look him in the eyes. You couldn't look at him, which is funny. That's a funny thing to do. Unless it's serious, then it's tragic. I used to tell the interns that. Don't look me in the eye. And they would take it seriously, and I'd be like, would you knock it off, you idiot? Very fun. Lenny in Westchester County. What's up, Lenny?
Hello, Anthony.
There he is.
Anthony, America is Chinese version of Saturday Night Live. I mean, they're laughing at us. What color is your tie? school children dissecting themselves in our best medical centers. Guys the size of Andre the Giant. They want to play basketball with the women. What those guys are going for, let me tell you, the collusion. They want to sue them for collusion. I don't think you're going to see them with pom-poms running up and down the court. They just want to sue them.
They want to, What I like about it, Lenny, what I like about it is they're calling out the WNBA and all these liberals and all these people that say a woman is whoever wants to be a woman. They found a loophole and they are taking advantage of it and saying, oh, really? Okay, I want to play in the WNBA. I used to be a man. I used to be on the NBA, and now I'm a woman, because now they have to tell him why he's not a woman. And to do that, you have to define a woman. It's quite brilliant on the part of some of these people that are doing this, because it finally puts their back against the wall, and they have to answer, well, if you don't think I'm a woman and I'm not qualified to play, then what is a woman and why am I not one? So it's brilliant.
Well, this is what I can guarantee. Those two guys voted for Harris, they voted for Obongo, and they voted for Creepy Joe. Right. I guarantee. But listen, in the collective bargaining agreement between the union and the WNBA, I guarantee you it says in that bargaining agreement, birth, what were you at birth? You have to be a female. That's what's going to be in there, okay? But anyway, more serious stuff out there.
Yes.
We got the communists winning all over the place. I've been saying it for 25, 30 years now. Stop legal immigration. I get banned from all the shows and everything.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are starting to come out and say they support legal immigration, so they're giving themselves away. It took a long time. Some of them always gave themselves away, but they're now giving themselves away because, let's face it, you don't bring in 100 million third worlders and scratch your head why Saeed gets elected over in Michigan.
Right.
And Rogers is probably going to win because you still have a lot of good, hardcore Americans living there. So I think but listen.
Well, what about next time, when there's more people from these third world disaster areas? They're playing the long game here, Lenny.
I know that. But the thing is, if this guy, Rogers, gets a big lead, he's the Republican candidate for Senate, they're going to pull this guy Saeed out of there and bring in somebody.
More moderate guy, you think?
Yeah, of course, they're going to do that. They want to win these seats. But the thing is, you got to realize now, all these people like Omar came here legally, Talib legally, Mami Kami in New York City came here. He's only been a citizen 7 years. He's the mayor of the biggest city in the world. This is directly a result of legal immigration inside of America. Now they're lying on the air like they always do to protect the invasion. They're blaming a bunch of college kids. Oh, it's a bunch of crazy college kids. That's the total BS. They're saying that because they have to protect the invasion. They can't come out and say,
right, it's the invaders. It's the invaders that did it. They can't say that. Right.
Yeah, foreign born. They got to say that now, and they're beating their chest like gorillas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Listen, if we don't get a handle on this, we will never be able to reverse all of this stuff.
There's no reversing it anyway, Lenny. I've been saying this. It's sad as hell. We might be able to stop it or put speed bumps in front of it, but we are on a trajectory that is tragic, and it doesn't look like there's an end, a light at the end of the tunnel that's close enough to hold this off. I don't have a good feeling about America's future.
Well, the corporate and political establishment want the invasion. That's why it's taken place. We could stop it cold if we tell Republicans in the Senate and the Congress and House and the president, that's it. No more legal immigration. People in this country, if you're not a citizen, you get out of this country. If you're here, especially illegally, get out of here and hold those countries responsible. If you notice that, I don't know if you remember, but years ago, right after Bush Sr. left office, he went to Kuwait. And Saddam tried to kill him, assassinate him. And then when Bush Jr. got in, that was the end of Saddam.
Payback.
The same thing 2 years ago when they released the information that Iran was going after Trump. As soon as Trump went in, I knew that he was going to go after them and level them. But what they do in Iran, let me tell you what they do. Their top leadership now has their bunkers under hospitals and under schools.
Oh, yeah.
And they know, listen, but let me finish. They know that America will not bomb hospitals and schools. That's why they're safe down there. And also, they know the oil, all the refineries in the streets of the Moose, or whatever you want to call it, they know America will not bomb it. And Saudi Arabia is calling the shots there because they're afraid of Iran. They know if we go wild on Iran, there's going to be retaliation. They're doing it now, but that's nothing. We lost our soldiers there. They're the ones calling shots. They want Trump and the Republicans to lose in November. That's why Iran is dragging this on. You think for a second I ever believed there was any agreement for a ceasefire with a bunch of riots and stuff?
Nobody's buying that.
Iran always plays with our elections. They did it in 79 to Carter. And when they released the hostages in 1981, in January 20th, right when Reagan was getting
because they knew Reagan wasn't going to take their crap. And
listen, they bombed the barracks. Reagan did nothing. What are you talking about? That's all hearsay and nonsense. They bombed out barracks. They murdered our Marines, and Reagan did nothing. They let him get away with it. So let's not canonize people who should not get it. Those Marines were murdered in their sleep. And on the other side of that runway, it was an airport. The French.
All right, Lenny, I love you. I gotta move on. How was he? Well, he was insulting Ronald Reagan, and I don't like that. No, I'm kidding, of course. No, very good, Lenny. Thank you. Holy Jesus Palomino. Took up my whole first break. Back in a flash. It's the Anthony Cumia Show, and who else is rearing their ugly heads for the election, the midterms, the presidential election in 2 years? Of course, Kamala Harris. We couldn't possibly have an election without the lovely Kamala Harris popping out from under her rock to stump for some of the candidates and maybe keep herself out there for a possible presidential run. We can only dream. We can only hope. I would love to see her back up there on the debate stage with her psychobabble, just word salad as it became known. She does not like something called the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act, of course, is preposterous. It's so oppressive. It's so unfair. The SAVE Act, it would require people to prove they are who they are before they vote. My God. My God. It's a torture. It's some type of tyranny to actually have to identify yourself before you vote. But there's Kamala Harris. Here she is talking, and the way she's talking about it, anyone in their right mind would listen to this and go, well, yeah, this sounds like what we should have. But just because she's Kamala Harris, you should listen to what she says and go, oh, yeah, sounds like a terrible prospect for voters. So AC9, let's take a listen to Kamala Harris.
19 states have already passed laws to make it more difficult to vote. Then this president, hey everybody, so they're trying to mess with your ability to vote, just to break it all down. You've got the Supreme Court. They just sealed the deal with this case that just came up recently, the Calais decision, which basically took the power out of the Voting Rights Act, which was designed to protect your right to vote. So you got the Supreme Court doing its thing. Then this president is trying to push this SAVE Act, which basically would require that for people to register to vote, you're going to have proof of who you are.
Crazy, right?
Through a passport, which a lot of Americans don't have, or a birth certificate. Same point. Obstacles to make it difficult for you to register to vote. And then you got the states. 19 states have already passed laws to make it more difficult to vote. And the ones that haven't passed a law are doing it in practice in many places around our country. Why? Because they're scared of you. They are scared of your power, the power you have, the power of your voice through your vote. So the work we have to do right now, let's make sure everybody, one, check your voter registration status, because, they've been purging the rolls. Make sure you register to vote. Even if you thought you were, just make sure. Next, let's make sure that everybody we know is registered to vote if they've not registered before. And then let's encourage everyone, vote early where they can, vote by mail where they can, and vote. It's going to make a difference.
Why even register? Why is she talking about registering to vote? Why not just make it where you could just stroll on in anywhere and vote? That's what they really want. The way she talked about with such disdain about the prospect of identifying yourself before you vote. They just don't want you. They're scared of you. Now, they're scared of the fraud that you have been perpetrating on our voting system for quite some time now. I think that's where the fear comes in. Not so much afraid of people, Americans, actually voting. One person, one vote. No one's afraid of that. That's how this country has worked for many years. That's how it's supposed to work. If you're a citizen of this country and you vote, I don't think anyone that supports the SAVE Act would say that that's not a good thing. Oh, we don't want people voting. One person, one vote. Oh, no. No one's saying that. But they don't want you to identify yourself. And they love presenting it like it's so difficult. Oh, you would need a passport or something. Oh, my goodness. A passport or a birth certificate or things that any American can get. Is that what you're talking about? There's something here. I will find it in a second because it's actually what is going on with I got it. With the SAVE Act. I almost got it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it has to do with it. It's California Proposition 39. They're all upset about this one, too. They're fighting tooth and nail to not have this passed. A citizen-initiated constitutional amendment on the November 3rd ballot statewide. It's formally titled something to the effect of prohibits citizens from voting unless they present government-issued identification, which that's common sense. Let's see what Prop 39 is all about. It would amend the California Constitution and add new requirements for voting and voter roll maintenance. Key provisions. Listen to this insanity. This is mental. In-person voting. Voters must present government-issued identification each time they vote in person. Election officials would verify identity before counting the ballot. Crazy. Mail-in or vote-by-mail ballots. Voter must provide the last 4 digits of a designated government-issued identification number on the ballot envelope. That way you can tie the voter to the mail-in ballot. Oh, my God. This is the tyranny. Tyranny. Voter registration and ID designation. New and existing voters would need to designate a government-issued ID, such as a driver's license, state ID number, as part of the registration process for mail-in voting. How about this? They're giving you free voter ID. Free voter ID cards. The state would be required to provide upon request and at no charge a voter identification card that would serve as the required government-issued ID. By the way, this should be nationwide. This shouldn't be just California. And you know why? Because this would throw away their excuse that people can't get ID. It's expensive. People in rural areas, minorities. They dub minorities much too stupid to get their own IDs. So if it's supplied by the government, the state, there you go. Citizenship verification and voter roll maintenance. The Secretary of State and the county election officials must use best efforts with available government data to verify that people on the voter rolls are U.S. citizens. They must annually report the percentage of each county's voter rolls that have been certified or citizenship verified. And then oversight and implementation. Does this sound like something that is intrusive to the voting process? Does this sound like something that is trying to be prohibitive to people that wish to vote? That you're trying to make it more difficult for people to vote? Or does it sound like an effort to stop voter fraud? I don't know. That's a tough one, isn't it? But this is what they're fighting. We're fighting for these rules. They're fighting against those rules. So you tell me who's on the right side here. Not the right, the correct side. I say right or left. Because anyone that thinks those basic, simple ways to try to prevent voter fraud are anything oppressive or preventative of people voting, you either are stupid, incredibly stupid, or you have an agenda. You know that there's fraud. You know that our electoral system is rife with fraud, and you want it to continue. So the last thing you would want are people to have to prove they are citizens who have the right to vote. And California, they're like, no on this proposition. We can't have that. It's terrible. All right, we will return in a matter of seconds. Where are you going? Stick around. The Anthony Cumia Show, and got a few things to clean up here. Of course, the wonderful Governor Hochul, our governor in New York State. Governor Hochul, she loves this whole pied-à-terre tax. I ain't paying no Frenchy frog named taxes. This pied-à-terre tax. She supports it. Mamdani, of course, loves this. It's so simple. If you own property in New York City and it is valued at more than $5 million, you must pay this pied-à-terre tax, which is exorbitant. It's a very, very high tax because they see it as a rich person, the dastardly, evil, wealthy people that aren't using the buildings as residents or businesses, and for some reason they don't like that. New York City property is very expensive. It goes up. It's an investment property. People buy investment properties all the time, but they don't want you to do that. Perish the thought you make money. They need to support you. If you're self-sufficient and you can support yourself, and you can make money because you're clever and talented and not lazy, you are an enemy to people like Governor Hochul and Zoran Mamdani and company. So they want to tax this. Now, listen to what Governor Hochul says here, because she's making it sound like if you aren't paying this pied-à-terre tax, that you're just not paying anything. You're freeloading. You have a building. You don't live there. It's an investment property. So you are freeloading. with your free building sitting on their property, and you're not even paying for it. Let's listen, AC7, and then we will discuss.
What I do support is saying that those who are able to afford a second home worth over $5 million, but do not make New York City your home, you're benefiting from police and fire protective services and are maintaining our roads and during snowstorms and in the summer. So why aren't you contributing to this? So I'm asking people to pay their fair
Snowstorms
share.
in the summer? Fair share. There's that line again. Oh, God. Fair share. Every year, less than a year, every few months, they blurt out that fair share thing. You can't keep saying fair share. At some point, you go, well, now it's beyond fair. You keep asking me to pay more. Here's the thing with what Governor Hochul just said there. They are paying taxes. They're paying property taxes. They're paying city taxes, state taxes. You know what kind of money it costs to own a building in New York City? The taxes you pay on that? And now they just want to throw another one on it because, what, you don't live there and you've been lucky or talented enough to be able to afford an investment property in New York City? They'd rather have that filled up with illegals or Section 8 housing so it can be destroyed with people paying nothing for rent. You, through your taxes, will be financing the rent for the people that are staying in your building that you can't hold as an investment property. This is what's going on. And they wonder why people are leaving New York State and especially New York City in droves. They think the city should be affordable to everybody. And if you do have money and you're utilizing it in New York City, you are an enemy. You're terrible. Meanwhile, they're the people with the businesses. They're the people employing the people of New York City. But evil, terrible people. And this will continue. And they'll do more things like this. And more wealthy people that support New York and employ people, they will leave. And I just can't wait to see a New York that is only inhabited by illegals, impoverished, and the city running the whole circus with back to the dilapidated buildings we can all remember in the 70s and the 80s, the South Bronx, before they did a good job at bringing back New York City, making it a tourist destination under Giuliani. And now they're putting all these things in place that will do nothing but destroy the city again. Beautiful. Great job. Great job you're doing there, Governor Hochul. Well, maybe we can look toward the young. We can look toward the budding citizens of New York City. You know, the kids that are going to school. You see where this is going, don't you? The New York Post put out an article about school and how it's going. And it's not going well. The amount of students that can actually read, write, and do simple math. We are talking simple addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. We're not talking calculus or anything like that. These numbers are terrible. They are lower than the country average. And then when you start going out of the country to places like China and Japan, New York, it's a bunch of dummies. The students are a bunch of dummies that have not learned anything. And you know why? I think a big part of it is they've lowered the bar to the lowest common denominator in New York. They have made it impossible for people to excel They've taken away gifted student programs in your basic public schools. Going to private schools or things like that, yeah, they still have gifted student programs. But the parents were getting so upset that their little angel wasn't being chosen for these gifted classes. And then they started saying that perhaps these gifted classes were, racist. Meanwhile, again, a lot of Asian kids, a lot of Indian kids were in these gifted classes. But, a certain segment of society was very angry. So what did they do? They got rid of the gifted classes. And then they started calling other things white supremacy or racist. Do you know that requiring students to sit still and be quiet in class is racist? It's a form of white supremacy because from what I read, children learn differently. Some children can't learn when they're forced to sit still and be quiet. They have to stroll around the classroom and maybe smack someone in the back of the head while they're, learning. And then discipline. Discipline's a big thing. And again, there was a certain segment of the student body who were out of control, doing things that would have merited a suspension at least, maybe even an expulsion. How about detention or some type of disciplinary action? Well, they decided that too must have been racist. They looked at the statistics, who was being suspended, who was being expelled or getting detention, and they said, boy, this list sure looks like race is playing a part in who is being disciplined. Because there's really no other logical explanation than that the staff was being racist. So they did away with any disciplinary action. And when you combine all those things, you get schools that are incapable of teaching even the kids that want to learn, even the kids that are dying to learn something, sitting in the front of the class, wearing their glasses, teacher's pet. They're incapable of learning because there are so many distractions, disruptions, violence going on in these classrooms. And then they wonder when these stats come out why New York has such crappy grades, why their kids are being pushed through these schools and spit out the other end with a complete inability to do the simplest of English, math, reading. And they go, what happened? And then what do they say? Well, we need more money. Do you know New York, on average, spends $52,000 per student? That is insane. Well, they need more computers. They need some iPads and whatnot. And then they buy them and they get stolen. And then they're sold for drugs or guns or what have you. And again, no one's disciplined because discipline is horrible and racist and tyrannical. And so until something really gets done, the Department of Education is useless, just useless. All they care about is paying the teachers more, and they're just babysitters at this point, or corrections officers more than babysitters. I've seen so many videos where it looks like prison. The cafeteria looks like you're watching a movie, watching Face Off, and they're fighting in the prison cafeteria. Someone's getting shanked. That's what it looks like when you see some of these videos. So the teachers have no power. The administrators have had their hands tied. Like I said, they can't discipline the students. They can't identify kids that are talented and gifted and put them somewhere else where they're away from the distractions. So it just continues. and we have New York City schools failing to educate kids. That was the story in the Post. And another great thing that the Post does, and this was with two stories. One was this story about failing education in New York, and the other one was how the parents of these kids are very upset that their kids aren't getting an education. Everyone seems to want the kids to have an education. Everyone's mad that they're not getting good grades, but no one seems to be responsible for it. So the other one was how the parents are mad. And the picture on the cover of the newspaper depicting the students that weren't getting good grades, little white kids, little white girl, little white boy. It's like, oh, why aren't our kids learning? It's like, I don't know. I don't know if that's an accurate depiction. It was like a stock photo, Getty Images or something is all we were getting from that. But that's going on. A couple of more things. Mitch McConnell, I'd like to inform everybody, is working from home. He is done with his rehabilitation. From what? I don't even know. Falling down? They said he fell. He didn't break anything. They checked him out. He didn't have a stroke. He didn't have cardiac issues. No tumors. He's been discharged. Thursday, he's been discharged from rehab facility and will keep up with his Senate work from home. Well, God bless. As he continues to recover following nearly 2 months of medical care after a fall. Oh, he just fell. On the advice of my doctor, this is Mitch right here, I guess, I'll maintain an intensive regimen of physical therapy from home during the state work period, the 84-year-old senator said in a written statement. Oh, a written statement. Why didn't he do a video? Why wasn't there a picture included with the written statement? Interesting, isn't it? And that seems strange. Oh, he added in his written statement, I'll continue to engage with my staff and colleagues on important Senate business. Continue? Has he been? Don't you have to have been doing something in order to continue it? McConnell has not been seen or heard in public since he was hospitalized in mid-June after suffering a fall at his home in Washington and then contracting pneumonia. His staff has largely kept mum about the senior senator's condition, despite mounting scrutiny from the media and some elected officials. Yeah, where is he? I say he's dead. I think he's just dead. I think they're trying to stretch this out for some reason. McConnell's aides, oh, he's got AIDS? Oh, no, it's not capital. McConnell's aides have periodically released written statements from the senator providing brief updates on his recovery progress. Is anyone buying this? This is a lie. The American people are being lied to as to the ability of a senator to conduct business. McConnell's, a picture he took at the hospital was the last time we saw anything. He was holding a newspaper, possibly to provide proof the photo was not taken earlier, like a hostage photo, or like Lee Harvey Oswald holding the newspaper with the rifle. No video or audio of McConnell has been released so far, and the scant, largely text-based assurances of his improvement have only fueled more speculation. Yeah. We're being lied to, people. There's no other way to put it. I'm tired of them trying to force plausible deniability down our throat. Oh, he's fine. He's just writing. He's written a statement. What is he, Lincoln? What is this, the 1800s? It's 2026. If you want to get your message to the most people you can, that you're fine and you're going to be conducting your business as senator, you make a quick video and put it on social media. Do you know every single person in the country will see that? And they'll go, well, you'll have some people go, oh, I guess it was AI. But you'll have a lot of people go, oh, okay, there he is. I guess he's conducting business. But that staged photo from the hospital bed and now written statements that he's home and he's going to be, he's diving right in head first into his work. It's all nonsense. It's lies. We are constantly being lied to by our trusted representatives. Isn't that a laugh? They're supposed to be the people that represent us, and we can't even find out if they're dead or alive. How does that work? Oh, my representative from the great state of Kentucky. Yeah, I don't know. He might be dead. He might be. He might be dead. I'd like to have him represent me on something that the constituents find very pressing and important. But, yeah, he may be dead. Yeah, I have to laugh. That's where we are, kids. That's the situation we're in. All right, a couple of more things to get to. There's another poor elderly senior scam that's going on, and we'll talk about that next. It's the Anthony Cumia Show, and I got to say, every day I scroll through social media, and some new scam has popped up that now you have to make sure your parents or your grandparents aren't falling for these things. When do people reach a point where they become unbelievably gullible and trustworthy? And look, a lot of these things these days, they're technology based, computer based. If you have to take the computer away from mom and dad, do it. If they're falling for these things, they are not fit to get online. And I was just downloading photos of my grandchildren. No, you gave away their inheritance. That's what you did. You see the nice pictures of your grandkids? They're broke now because you're an idiot. I don't want to be too harsh on them, but it keeps happening. And I think it is the job of the kids, It's your job to throw them in an old age home. It's not an old age home. It's a retirement community. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's your job. It's your job to... if they start getting a little, they're losing it a bit, you got to deal with that. And it's your job to make sure they don't fall for these obvious shenanigans, if I may use the word shenanigans. Here's the latest one. New York Police Department's Financial Crimes Task Force is warning seniors about a scam involving, get this, gold bars. You're like, what? What is this? It involves a computer pop-up. A pop-up. Anytime I get a pop-up, it's instantly shut down. There is nothing in 2026. There is nothing a pop-up is doing for you. It claims to be from Microsoft, saying that your computer is infected with a virus. Oh, dear. My computer has consumption. It's got the tuberculosis. A virus, and you need to call a number to get it unlocked. Can you believe falling for this? After calling, the victim unwittingly gives scammers access to their computer and bank accounts, prompting more fake calls from the scammers. Now they pretend to be from the U.S. Treasury Department or the police themselves. They're requesting payment in the form of gold bars to protect their money. Gold finger. In this process, the victim gets coerced to provide remote access to the computers, allowing these perpetrators to gain control. When I'm in control, it means that they have access to your webcam, your printer, your audio, and your computer. NYPD's been investigating these cases since 2024. Oftentimes, a courier will show up to the victim's home to collect the gold bars. While both parties talk on the phone to a scammer, usually someone based in Asia, of course, India, thank you, pretending to be based on U.S. soil. Hello, my name is Peter. We will need gold bars from you. The callers give a code name or number, further convincing some victims that the gold bar handoff is legitimate. Can you even fathom that you're getting gold bars to hand over to some stranger at your door? And that somehow you think this is on the up and up? That somehow Microsoft and the U.S. Treasury it's in your best interest to buy gold bars and hand it to a stranger coming to your door? Ah, you people, you poor old bastards. We try to get my mom to use web TV. Remember web TV? We were like, Mom, we'll get you a computer. We can email you if something's going on, if something happens, something new. We could send you photos. Oh, I don't need that. I'll go to Photomat and get my film developed. She had no interest, thank God, by the way, in any type of technology. It frightened her. And I think that's a good thing. Technology should frighten old people to keep them from making dumb mistakes and handing out gold bars. I feel bad laughing because they probably gave away their entire retirement or inheritance that they wanted to give to their kids and grandkids. But when do you reach that point? When do you reach the point where it's a good idea to dole out gold bars like Halloween candy to strangers that have come to your door? I don't know. Anyway. And the last thing, I guess, today, Hunter Biden has a video update on his dad, Joe Biden's cancer. AC8. Let's listen to a little Hunter Biden. I don't believe a word he says, but, what am I going to do? What's that? Oh, we're out in 1 minute. Oh, boy, I don't even have time for this. See, I got too much stuff. All right, next time. But they say it's spread. It's metastasized, T. I got the prostate. It's not good. It doesn't seem good. 5940, right? Oh, no? Now it's back to 5810. You bastards. Okay. I'll do 5810 then. He's in worse shape, and they knew about this when he was president. They tried dragging him over the finish line. We all know that. He couldn't do it. Thank God for that debate performance, or we would have him as president until he announced his cancer, and then Kamala Harris would be our president right now. Thank God things didn't work out like that. All right, I will see you back here next week. You better promise to show up. Have a good one, peeps.